So a lattice is basically useless without the aid of a lattice modifier, and the lattice modifier goes on top of the object that you want to use the lattice with. Say we want to use this lattice to control the Suzanne head, we need to add a lattice modifier to the Suzanne head. So let's click on modifiers, add, and under deform, select lattice. Then we need to choose the lattice object. So we could just click the eyedropper, then pick this lattice here. And now this lattice will be in control of this Suzanne head, only it's way far away from it, which is no good. So we'll need to position it over the Suzanne head. So to do that, I'm going to open up my transform window here and just type 0 under all the location values. And now it's where the Suzanne head is. And we could go ahead and scale it to be more appropriately fitting over the Suzanne head. That looks pretty good. Now when we press tab to go into edit mode, we can use our lattice object to control Suzanne. So a lattice on its own is very useful, of course, much better than having to create, like, say, a mesh box and then individually set up relationships between vertex points and the object that you wanted to form. But the question is, can we make this process go even faster? And the answer is yes, we can. So to help us do that, I've created a new add-on called Power Lattice. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and press File, New, General, Don't Save to set us up here with a fresh file. And we're gonna go ahead and install the add-on. So to install it, I'm just gonna go to Edit, Preferences, and then press Install. And then here on desktop, I have the Power Lattice zip from blendersensei.com. We'll select it, press Install Add-on, and it is now installed. All we have to do to get it to work is to activate it. So we'll check this box. For now, we're good to go, so we'll close that out. All right, so once the Power Lattice add-on is installed, you can use it simply by pressing Shift-A, the same way you normally would to bring up the Blender Add menu. Down here at the bottom, you'll see a new menu called Power Lattice. So you still have access to the regular lattice here, but here we have the option for Power Lattice. And you'll see inside here is a menu of two options, so Lattice 3D and Lattice 2D. So you can use either a 2D or 3D lattice on any kind of object, but the 2D lattice is especially set up for grease pencil. And I think we're gonna go ahead and save that for another video coming up soon, because there's a lot of really awesome stuff you can do with lattices and grease pencil animations. So I think I'm gonna save that for a separate video. To get started here, let's go ahead and add something that would be a bit more interesting to deform than a cube with our lattice. So we'll add this Suzanne head. I'm going to go ahead and add a subsurface modifier and add some smooth shading on this. And I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this a few times. Oh, where are you going there? Okay, so if we want to add a lattice to an individual object, we just select the object, press Shift-A, Power Lattice, Lattice 3D, and you can see here that the box of the lattice has conformed perfectly down to the nanometer of every side of the selection here. So we can immediately then enter edit mode and begin deforming our lattice here. Of course, if you want to come down here to the lattice controls, you have a lot of options here. You can change the resolution, which basically means subdivision. It means subdivision of the lattice. This is confusing, but we can do this, and then this gives us more points to change how we want to deform. So lattices are also really useful in terms of animation. So for instance, we could raise our timeline up here a bit. I could press I to insert a keyframe. I'll select location, rotation, scale, because I want everything, all the things to get animated. Move my timeline down 30 frames, and let's say scale this. And we'll also rotate it around. Why not? Whoa. That's pretty crazy, and we'll move it some. This is a lot of fun. And then we'll go ahead, press I again, location, rotation, scale. And we've got some really wacky animation going on with this Suzanne. We could go ahead and hide all of the text extras stuff and just look at that go. Okay, so we can add either a single lattice to an object. We can also select multiple objects. I'm actually going to duplicate these again to point out the really good boundary matching of Power Lattice. So it does a really good job of getting this lattice extremely tightly and perfectly around things. Let's select a bunch of stuff, press Shift A, Power Lattice, Lattice 3D, and we have another lattice. Another nice little built-in feature here is that if you accidentally have something selected, such as a lamp or camera, that cannot have a lattice modifier added to it, it will simply be ignored. So now we can press Tab to go into edit mode, and with all those things selected, you can see our lattice is now affecting these items here. Now we got a bunch of pancake Suzannes. That looks really cool. I'm discovering a lot of stuff while making this video. That looks really neat. Whoa. We could, of course, animate this as well. You can also animate individual deformations using shape keys with your lattice here. And we'll actually get into that in the next video. But real quickly, I want to tell you about the options available in Power Lattice. So let's go to Edit, Preferences, and click under Sensei. You can see I also have Power Select activated here, and under Power Lattice, so we have default resolution. So as we discussed, this just means how many times is the lattice subdivided and on which axes is it subdivided. So we could, make the default lattices we add have much more subdivisions. Keep in mind that this is exponential, so 4 subdivisions versus 5 is going to be a lot different value. And we also have control of the default interpolation, so interpretation of the interpolation. Their interpolation here just means the type of smoothing used when the lattice is deforming the contents within the lattice. So you have linear, cardinal, cat mule rom, B-spline. You can test these out to see how you like the different smoothing methods, but this will just mean that whatever you set these values to, whenever you create a new lattice, it will always be created with those settings. So we could add some torus objects here. I'll Shift D this a few times and press Shift A, Power Lattice, Lattice 3D. And you can see now that this has been created with our new defaults that we set. So that's pretty much it for the Power Lattice add-on, except for the 2D lattice features, which are really more for using grease pencil. And we'll get into those in the next video in this short little series on lattices. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.